relaxing the dream. It was dark now. The night had already begun. The BFG, with Sophie sitting on his hand, hurried into the cave and put on those brilliant, blinding lights that seemed to come from nowhere. He placed Sophie on the table. Stay there, please, and no chittering. I is needed to listen only to silence when I am mixing up such a naughty, plexicated dream as this. He hurried away from her. He got out an enormous empty glass jar that was the size of a washing machine. He clutched it to his chest and hurried towards the shelves on which stood the thousands and thousands of smaller jars containing the captured dreams. Dreams have giants, he muttered to himself as he searched the labels. The giants is guzzling human beings. No, not that one, nor that one. Here's one, and here's another. He grabbed the jars and unscrewed the tops. He tipped the dreams into the enormous jar he was clutching, and as each one went in, Sophie caught the glimpse of a small green blob tumbling from one jar into the other. The BFG hurried towards another shelf. Now, I is wanting dreams about the giggle houses for girls and boggle boxes for boys. He was becoming very tense now. Sophie could almost see the excitement bubbling inside him as he scurried back and forth among his beloved jars. There must have been 50,000 dreams up there on the shelves, but he seemed to know almost exactly where every one of them was. Dreams about little girls and dreams about me, about the BFG. Come on, hurry up, get on with it. Now, where in the wonky world is I keeping those? And so it went on. In about half an hour, the BFG had found all the dreams he wanted and had tipped them into one huge jar. He put the jar on the table. Sophie was watching him, but said nothing. Inside the big jar, lying on the bottom of it, she could clearly see about 50 of those oval sea green jelly shapes, all pulsing gently in and out, some lying on top of others, but each one still quite separate and individual dream. Now he is mixing them, the BFG announced. He went to the cupboard where he kept his bottles of frobscottle, and from it he took out a gigantic egg beater. It was one of those that has the handle which you turn, and down below there was a lot of overlapping blades that go whizzing around. He inserted the bottom end of this contraption into the big jar where the dreams were lying. Watch, he said, and he started turning the handle very fast. Flashes of green and blue exploded inside the jar. The dreams were being whisked into a sea green froth. The poor things, Sophie cried. They is not feeling it, the BFG said as he turned the handle. Dreams is not like human beings or animals. They all has no brains. They is made of zazimos. After about a minute, the BFG stopped whisking. The whole bottle was now full to the brim with large bubbles. They were almost exactly like the bubbles we ourselves blow from soapy water, except that these had even brighter and more beautiful colors swimming on their surfaces. Keep watching, the BFG said. Quite slowly, the topmost bubble rose up through the neck of the jar and floated away. A second one followed, and then a third and a fourth, and soon the cave was filled with hundreds of beautifully colored bubbles, all drifting gently through the air. It was truly a wonderful sight. As Sophie watched them, they all started floating towards the cave entrance, which was still open. They're going out, Sophie whispered. Of course, the BFG said. Where to? Those is all little tiny dream bits that I isn't using. They is going back to the misty country to join up with proper dreams. It's all a bit beyond me, Sophie said. Dreams is full of mystery and magic. Do not try to understand them. Look in the big box when you will now see the dream you is wanting for the queen. Sophie turned and stared into the great jar. On the bottom of it, something was thrashing around wildly, bouncing up and down and flinging itself against the walls of the jar. Good heavens, is that it? That's it, the BFG said proudly. But it's horrible, Sophie cried. It's jumping around. It wants to get out. That's because it's a troublehumper. It's a nightmare, the BFG said. Oh, but I don't want you to give the queen a nightmare. If she is dreaming about giants guzzling up little boys and girls, then what is it you expecting it to be except to be a nightmare? Oh, no. Oh, yes.
A dream where you are seeing little chugglers being eaten is about the most frightsome trouble-lumping dream you can get. It's a Kixie bog thumper. It's a wopsy grop switcher. It is all of them riddled into one. It is as bad as that dream I blew into the fleshel beater this afternoon. It is worse.
Sophie stared down at the fearful nightmare dream that was still thrashing away in the huge glass jar. It was much larger than the others. It was about the size and shape of, shall we say, a turkey's egg. It was jellyish. It had tinges of bright scarlet deep inside it. There was something terrible about the way it was throwing itself against the sides of the jar. I don't want to give the queen a nightmare. I is thinking that your queen will be happy to have a nightmare if having a nightmare is going to save a lot of human beings from being gobbled up by the fearsome giants. Is I right or is I left? I suppose you're right. It's got to be done. She will soon be getting over it. Have you put all the other important things into it? When I is blowing that dream into the queen's bedroom, she will be dreaming every single little thing-a-ling-a-ling-a-ling you is asking me to make her dream. About me sitting on the windowsill? That part is very strong. And about the big friendly giant? I is putting in a nice long gobbet about him, the BFG said. As he spoke, he picked up one of the smaller jars and very quickly tipped the struggling, thrashing struggle humper out of the large jar into the smaller one. Then he screwed the lid tightly onto the small jar. That's it. We is now ready. He fetched his suitcase and put the small jar into it. Why bother to take a great big suitcase when you've only got one jar? You could put the jar in your pocket. The BFG looked down at her and smiled. By goggles, he said, taking the jar out of the suitcase. Your head is not quite so full of grum sludge after all. I can see you was not born last week. Thank you, kind sir, Sophie said, making a little curtsy from the tabletop. Is you ready to leave? I'm ready, Sophie cried. Her heart was beginning to thump at the thought of what they were about to do. It really was a wild and crazy thing. Perhaps they would both be thrown into prison. The BFG was putting on his great black cloak. He tucked the jar into the pocket in his cloak. He picked up his long trumpet-like dream blower. Then he turned and looked at Sophie, who was still on the tabletop. The dream bottle is in my pocket. Is you going to sit in there with it during the travel? Never. I refuse to sit next to that beastly thing. Then where is you going to sit? Sophie looked him over for a few moments. Then she said, if you would be kind enough to swivel one of your lovely big ears so that it's lying flat like a dish, that would make a very cozy place for me to sit. By gumbo, that is a squawkling good idea. Slowly, he swiveled his huge right ear until it was like a great shell facing the heavens. He lifted Sophie and he placed her into it. The ear itself was about the size of a large tree tree. Was full of the same channels and crinkles as a human ear. It was extremely comfortable. I hope I don't fall down your ear hole, Sophie said, edging away from the large hole just beside her. Be very careful not to do that. You would be giving me a croaking earache. The nice thing about being there was that she could whisper directly into his ear. You is tickling me a bit. Please do not jiggle about. I'll try not to. Are we ready? Oh, yelled the BFG. Don't do that. I didn't do anything. You is talking too loud. You is forgetting that I is hearing every little thing-a-ling-a-ling 50 times louder than usual. And there you is shouting right inside my ear. Oh, gosh, I forgot, said the mother. Your voice is sounding like thunder and trumpets. I'm so sorry. Is that better? No, it sounds as though you're shooting off blunderbuss. How can I talk to you? Don't, please don't. Each word is like you is dropping buzz bombs in my ear hole. Sophie tried speaking right under her breath. She said. She spoke so softly she couldn't even hear her own voice. That's better now. I was hearing you very nicely. What is it you was trying to say to me just now? I was saying, are we ready? We is off, cried the BFG, heading from the cave entrance. We is off to meet Her Majesty the Queen. Outside the cave, he rolled the large round stone back into place and set off at a tremendous gallop.